Good morning, everybody. My name is Skoller from the Trader 10 community, and today we're going to look at Bitcoin, Ripple, Ethereum, and Link. In this video series, we will do a forecast of what price has done in the previous weeks and what it might actually do in the future. So sit back and relax, and let's start with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin really only had like two things that it could do last week. One of them was which one that we drew here was either we would go up, we would achieve the previous move that made this new low. But as you can see, we went to the top zone of this one, and then we actually failed and moved down. So because we didn't achieve a new high, the probability of us creating a new low was probably higher. So they came back down, created a new low, started trading below the previous low that brought us to this swing, which is actually kind of bearish. Now I know there's a lot of confusion within the community that Bitcoin actually only closed one time before the previous before the move that brought us to the all-time high. So there's a lot of confusion behind this. Now in my opinion, you shouldn't be worrying too much that Bitcoin only did one close. The main reason for this is that if we remove everything for drawing, we can ask ourselves, okay, what does Bitcoin now have to achieve on the daily in order for us to become bullish again? In my opinion, it just has to try and re-achieve the move that brought us down here, that broke this, right? If we are able to do that, then we will probably see some kind of continuation pattern, or if not, we might have a higher probability to get a new long down here if and only if they re-achieve this, right? So that's kind of the bullish case for me. Now, of course, you can already start doing this on the lower time frames. As you can see, they've kind of did the same thing I just talked about on the daily, but on the 4 hour. But when you look at the 4 hour, they've actually, well, traded below everything for at least 2 candles. Well, okay, also here they didn't close below it, but they definitely closed 2 candles below this. So I'm kind of curious what they're going to do as well. For shorts, I'm actually going to look at this candle and all this confluence, the move that broke, the retest of this retest, then the retest before we dumped. So when we're going up, this is going to be a very interesting zone for me to start looking for shorts. If this happens, yeah, I will gladly look for shorts over there. Now, I think a question a lot of you might have is, well, how deep can this go if we're going lower? We know what we're looking for a long. This can also become a long, but yeah. So we know what we're looking for longs, but how deep can this thing go if it starts falling down, right? And I have a simple rule for this. What I would suggest you do is, right now, we're still mainly looking at the daily time frame, because on the 4 hour previously, we already lost the move to the high. So we knew that the 4 hour was kind of bearish already, okay? Now, if you go to the daily, we never actually lost the move to the high. We only had it maybe for one close right here, but well, the confirmation is most of the time 2 closes. So we haven't done that yet. But let's say that we start moving down, then what would be our next time frame to look at? In my opinion, it would be the weekly. Now, how low do we have to go to lose the high on the weekly? We have to go actually pretty low, right? That would be 28k without looking too much to the left. If you then draw this box to the left, you will actually see that there's confluence. It's actually very close to the previous all-time high. Have we retested this level yet on the weekly? No, we haven't. So in my opinion, coming back down to 20k by looking at the weekly candlesticks makes a lot of sense. Now, of course, on the daily, we have this small consolidation over here and here as well. Now, how I'm playing this, I'm actually looking for a little bit of smaller longs within this zone, but I'm actually looking for bigger longs in this 20 to 18k range. So that's kind of my opinion on Bitcoin for the upcoming week. I'm not saying that next week we will be at 20k. Maybe it will be some slow, maybe it will be a kind of slow grind. But afterwards, if we get to 20k, we might as well get a very big swing back up to 30k. Because think about it, guys, we haven't lost anything on the weekly yet. Even if we go to 20k, Bitcoin will still be bullish on the weekly time frame. And then more often than not, you get these very nice swings until Bitcoin either breaks to the upside or breaks down to the bottom side. If we go back all the way to 2017, that's kind of what happened as well, right? So here over here in this range, we lost the move to the high on the daily. And then after some time, we finally came back down to the move that initiated the move to the all-time high, and we had this as support. After that, we had these nice swings until it eventually broke down. So that's kind of it for Bitcoin for me this week. So let's go over to XRP. So looking at XRP, what I kind of did was okay, right? So we came back all the way up here to test the move that brought us to this low. Well, we didn't really reach the box, but yeah, they tried to do so. Afterwards, they actually swept the previous highs. So there you had an option to actually try and short this sweep on the 4 hour. Afterwards, they came back down all the way to this weekly level that we tested previously. Let me maybe show you where this weekly was drawn from. So this weekly was actually the move that created this big up move, right? As you can see, with a lot of confluence to the left as well. So we kind of knew that this level would become important. And what you will often see is that we go down underneath the level, underneath the level, underneath the level. And then after some time, we will come back and eventually retest it. Now, what am I actually looking for XRP on the daily chart? Is kind of the same as Bitcoin. So first of all, I want them to try and re-achieve the previous swing, which would be this one, right? I want them to try and get above it. If they can get above it, don't be afraid to short it as well. Of course, it will depend a little bit on Bitcoin, but yeah. So I'll be really interested in doing something like this, that it gets there, and then you can either short it or long it, depends where it will close. If it starts closing above, we know that it might be a little bit more bullish. If it doesn't, then we know that it's actually kind of bearish. Now, of course, if Bitcoin is going to go down, then we really want to try and also short these alts for a little bit of funding, right? Now, how low can this go? That's a very good question. We already tested the 24, so it wouldn't surprise me if we would come back down to the 20s. Now, if we start pumping again, of course, our main goal is to try and re-achieve the 35-ish cents, and then go to these zones that we drew previously. So yeah, looking at XRP, maybe 14 cents might be in as well if we start moving down and Bitcoin starts breaking. I actually have no real idea how the altcoins are going to react to it, so we will see. We can only play the cards that we know, so I would suggest you guys do the same. So that's kind of it for XRP already. Let's head over to Ethereum. So looking at Ethereum, looks like they created a new all-time high, went over this weekly from all the way to the left, retested the weekly, then did a failure coming back down. Looks like they never did lose the move though. Let's have a look. Okay, so they kinda did lose the move for one candle as well. So what they're going to try and do is they're going to test somewhere around here to see if we can actually create a new all-time high. So what do I mean by that is, let's clean the chart up a little bit because it's kind of messy. Let's redraw the weekly from all the way to the left, failure, this one. And let's also redraw this weekly top candle body. And then we come back down to the 4 hour, and then we see where we are currently facing resistance. So right now it's at that weekly level from to the left. In my opinion as well, if ETH wants to try and conquer new all-time highs, we really want them to try and achieve this zone. Why? Because, well, we have this candle right here that made us go down. So if you can get above it, then we might be able to create some kind of continuation pattern, getting above all these other highs. If not, we might come back down, go back to the origin swing, and then re-attempt. Now, I would like to tell you guys, for the people that will watch it quite soon after the release, there might also become a lose of the high shorting setup, right? Something like this. And then we would go lower into this origin swing. So that's what I'm currently looking out for ETH. Now, if we do go lower, then we will probably, if Bitcoin is going to break down, then we will probably start making new lows as well on Ethereum. Because, well, you know, in crypto, everything follows Bitcoin kind of. So then we can actually start looking at the weekly and ask ourselves, okay, where might price be heading, right? And I think like 800s looks good already, and then coming back down here to the previous swing that initiated the high. It's around 600-ish is what I would be looking for as well on ETH. If Bitcoin is going to 20, maybe that's a little bit overdoing it, so we'll see how far they will go. But yeah, you'll never know. Let's first see what they're going to do here. Either create a new all-time high or start breaking down and giving us a short setup. When this starts breaking down, if it starts breaking down, then we will have to reevaluate next week where our targets will be. So that's kind of it for ETH already as well. Let's head over to Link. Link as well has been creating new all-time highs. Looks like they came back down after creating this new all-time high. They came back down to the weekly, tested this weekly and moved up. Even though if you wanted to probably try and play this weekly, you would have probably been stopped out because they went so vividly, so so deeply into this weekly. Now what we could have done is we could have looked for a lower time frame setup, but it looks like they just pumped it quite hard. So where could you have actually caught this? At the origin swing of this one, so this actually right here. But then again, probably if I were to play the setup, I would have probably been stopped out, and then I would have looked for a new setup, but they just went up very hard, so it was kind of hard to catch something in here. Which was actually a kind of a nice play of Link, and probably because a lot of people got stopped out right here and wanted to get back in, we got this huge momentum to the upside. Now what am I expecting for Link? I'm actually looking for them to hold this one as well. If they can hold this, there's nothing to the left anymore, so we can just look at the local price structure. So for now we want Link to hold this. If they don't hold this, then yeah, we will probably start moving downwards. If we start doing something like this, we might actually come back for a third test and then move lower. Whereas the next target would be somewhere around here, is around the 20s again. If not, then we will just keep on staircasing to the upside, and we will keep on making all-time highs. This will probably also depend on what Bitcoin is going to do, as I repeatedly said on all these altcoins. Now if Bitcoin is going to start going down, then it might actually be very interesting to start looking for these short setups on these altcoins, especially if you're playing futures, because then you can really try and grab a lot of funding on them. So that's kind of it. When we start failing here and start losing the move to the high, we can really start looking aggressively for these shorts. If these shorts don't work out, no problem, try to relong somewhere if they give it to you, give the setup to you, and if it's a setup that you're comfortable with. So that's kind of it for this week's forecasting video. I hope you liked it. I'm looking forward to this week because there is going to be a lot of action in the markets. In my opinion, Bitcoin is really looking like it's kind of almost, yeah, like it really wants to break down or up. So I think this week will be this deciding factor. Will Bitcoin be able to get above 36,500, or will we actually start breaking down to the bottom side and maybe get some refills around 23, 24, 20k ish? So I'm looking forward to next week. Hopefully you liked the video. If you liked the video, please give us a like and a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, feel free to subscribe. We're trying to do these videos every week. And if you have any questions about any other charts, let us know in the comments as well, and we will try to include them in our next video. Thank you very much, and bye.